few years ago, 343 teased their next big Halo project, Halo Infinite. Instantly, fans were excited. The art design, the map, everything looked like classic Halo again. Then the game got delayed a few times, but at least we kept seeing more trailers and previews, and even things like this. The game looked awesome. 343 even announced a free multiplayer and a vast open world to explore. Everything about Halo Infinite sounded like Halo heaven, but when it finally dropped, people were disappointed. Nobody thought that the game was overwhelmingly bad, but no one thought it was that good either. To this day, I feel like people played this game once and then said, "Alright, that was kind of fun, I guess," and then they never played it again. Even I did this. The multiplayer has been hanging on by a thread for a while now, and the single player hasn't been touched since launch. So what's the point of this video then? To bash on Halo Infinite some more? No, not really. I want to try and convince you to play it again, because this shit is great. I like to describe this game as therapy for a Halo fan. The story, the gameplay, and atmosphere are all incredible. The story is especially therapeutic, for not just the fans, but for the actual in-game characters as well. Chief, for example, is still hung up at the loss and betrayal of Cortana, clinging onto her AI chip like it's keeping him alive. Even while he's getting his shit rocked, he won't lose grip. Chief blames himself for all her wrongdoings and destruction throughout the galaxy. Chief just wants to fix things, but he knows that that's not possible. He knows he has to move on and learn from this. And that's what this game is all about, pushing forward in life despite all your mistakes. Now paired with a new AI who happens to share a lot of traits and qualities that Cortana had, Chief has to redeem himself and save mankind from the power of the Banished. Going into this game, you might not know who the Banished are. They're the main antagonists from Halo Wars 2 and are a group formed of ex-Covenant soldiers and violent mercenaries. They're a real threat to the galaxy, so Chief has a lot to deal with here, and he can't do this alone. This is where Echo 216 comes in, a stranded Pelican pilot who was just lucky enough to find Chief floating in space. Echo 216 is a very human character. He's very afraid and constantly wants to run away. Chief is constantly reassuring him that he will protect him and makes him into his new pilot and borderline sidekick. Chief's true sidekick, however, is the Weapon, his new AI companion, who's filled with energy, cuteness, and just all-around quirkiness. Usually I would hate this kind of character, but something about her just works. She's so expressive and vocal towards Chief, and I'm really excited to see them in future titles together. Together, these three travel across Zeta Halo, destroying banished outposts, unraveling secrets, and growing as characters. Another thing that 343 did right, besides these new characters, are the new villains. They feel actually threatening. 343 finally learned how to make some interesting villains and have some real stakes in their game. Escharum, Atriox, and the Harbinger are all fantastic antagonists with actual character and purpose behind them. With the game establishing that the UNSC lost the fight from the very beginning, your mission to reclaim this ring and stop the Banished from unleashing hell upon humans feels way more meaningful. Even then, this game is not truly about that. I like to compare this story to Halo 4's, with the surface level story being about saving mankind from mass destruction, and the deeper story being about Chief's emotions. Halo Infinite is a $60 therapy session for Halo fans. The topics covered in this game may be great, but something even better is how the game looks. Halo 4 was the beginning of a new art style of Halo, and it was received pretty negatively at first. It grew on people, but everyone still agreed that that classic Halo look cannot be topped. 343 finally agreed that Halo needed its identity back, and gave us arguably the best look Halo has ever had. Ever since I was a kid and first saw Halo Legends, I wanted Chief to have those white accents on his armor, or at least the number 117 on him. And 343 must have heard my prayers and cries, because I was so happy when I saw how he looked in Infinite. He may not still have the white stripes, but I'll take it over Halo 5's design. Just like Chief, the elites are back and better than ever, baby. They finally started wearing armor again, ditching that awful design from 4 and 5. Brutes are mostly hairless apes, going off of Reach's design, but there's a lot of variety in them, so I really like it. It's so easy to tell their ranks and classes apart, and they look actually threatening. The UNEC guns also went back to their best designs. Well, the guns from classic Halo games at least, because 343 brought in a lot of original guns for this game, and those look just as good. The AR is taking the iconic design from Reach, the BR is back to the Halo 2 and 3 design. Nostalgia aside, let's look at the new additions. A lot of people are usually sad when the Magnum isn't in a game, and that's very understandable, but I don't think anybody was that upset at the introduction of the Sidekick pistol. This gun looks appealing in both model and in action. It's accurate, it shoots fast, and it hits hard. This thing is a unit of a pistol. The iconic shotgun also got replaced in Infinite, giving us the Bulldog. This thing looks like a powerhouse, but it kinda sucks. Brutes also got some new weapons in the Skewer, Mangler, Ravager, and Scrap Cannon. Just by looking at these, you can tell that they're Brute weapons. I mean, come on. The blades, the thrown together look, and since the Prometheans aren't in this game, thank God, we got some replacements in the shock weapons and the hard light weapons. Now, the shock weapons are also used by the Banished, but they sit in a different field house in my head. Both these guns look exactly how you'd think, too. They look like batteries. The shapes alone are unique and stand out compared to the other guns in Infinite. Hard light guns are just as unique and very stylized towards Forerunner designs. With 3 guns in this class, we have the Cinder Shot, Heatwave, and we finally see the return of the Sentinel Beam, all with a sleek metal design to them. I know I complained in my Halo 5 video that I didn't like how sleek and clean the Prometheans looked, but for these it fit. Overall, 343 listened and gave us what we wanted all along, that classic Halo look. But even though we got our classic Halo look back, would it play like classic Halo? The answer is obviously no, but this time, it's not a bad thing. Halo Infinite has maybe the best and most polished gameplay to date. And while things may be different from Halo 2 and 3, even Reach, it's for the best. Don't get me wrong, I love those games and how they play, but realistically, they won't hold up if they got released today. With that said, what made this feel like the best Halo? For starters, the movement feels so smooth. Like in 4 and 5, we have a permanent sprint, but something about it just feels better. She feels lighter and swifter. 343 also brought back armor abilities like in Reach. We have thrusters, drop shield, radar sensor, and a grappling hook. That's right, baby. Master Chief got a grappling hook. And by God, this thing's the best addition to any Halo game. It has such a short cooldown, allowing you to spam the shit out of this thing. Climbing to places that would have been unreachable, or even quickly getting you out of combat. These armor abilities really add a ton of variety for how you personally play the game. The previously mentioned weapon variety also helps add a lot of player choice, with almost every gun being viable enough to get you through a stage, except the Needler. That thing is hot garbage. Speaking of combat, let's talk about the general gameplay loop of Infinite. Infinite has you going against the Banished, like I said earlier. They consist of all the same enemy types as the Covenant, with Grunts, Jackals, Brutes, Elites, and Hunters. And all of them play like they did in past games. But Brutes got a bit of an improvement, honestly. I compare them most to their Halo 2 counterparts, very aggressive and tanky. And 343 added some funny features with the Brutes, allowing them to throw things at you, like crates, fusion coils, and even grunts. There's one entirely new enemy to Infinite who acts a lot like the drones did in the Bungie titles. These guys are called skimmers, and they're actually a lot more annoying than the drones ever were because they're geared with much stronger weapons. I honestly still really like them, despite their annoyance to one-shot me. I don't know, they're just funny looking too. They're like little monkeys or something, I don't know. Boss fights stayed from Halo 5, but this time they actually feel like a boss fight and aren't the same thing copy and pasted 9 times. These fights can actually be a challenge too and may take you a few attempts. Boss fights are nothing new to Halo, but they were just never done right. Even in Halo 2, the few boss fights that you had just felt like a slightly stronger basic enemy. Infinite, however, makes them stand out from the rest of the Banished, giving them their classic boss health bar at the bottom and very characterized designs. For example, these 2 brutes on screen are Spartan Hunters, and to show that off, 343 decided to put Spartan Locke's helmet as one of their shoulder guards. The addition of storytelling through design is so important in games, so I'm happy they started using it. All the bosses also just feel so different from each other. Even those 2 Spartan Hunters, they're the same boss fight, but they play entirely different. One will stay back and snipe at you, while the other one will charge at you in a chopper. It's really badass to watch, and it's terrifying to play against. The gameplay is overall the best it's ever been, and while it's okay to prefer another Halo's playstyle, you have to agree that it's never been as polished as this. The movement, the gunplay, and the gameplay loop has never been better. And here's where the video takes a turn for the worse. To say the open world is empty is a bit of an understatement. The map isn't small at all, it's actually a nice size. The landscape is very beautiful and quite varied in design. The issue comes from lack of content. If you watched my video a few months ago about Halo Infinite's downfall, then you already know how I feel on this subject. The outposts and fobs are all copy and pasted across the map and just aren't much of a challenge unless you play stupid like I like to. The only part that I really enjoy is hunting down the prime targets. These are enemies who just carry special weapons that you can obtain for your fobs. It's just a cool concept to spice things up. At least it's pretty fun to explore in this game. You can spawn in vehicles, travel around, and like I mentioned earlier, you have that awesome grappling hook to climb up mountains. This, however, is also an issue though, because while you can explore the whole map, there's no incentive to. All the collectibles are shown to the player and you just put a waypoint on them. It really kills off a lot of the fun of finding things for yourself. A lot could have been done in this open world, but it just seems kinda lazy. It would have been nice to have events go on like Destiny does in their open world, or at least have small battles between Marines and Banished break out at random, have Banished try and retake areas you stole. There's just a lot of fun and creative things that could have been done here, and it's not awful, it's just disappointing. Halo Infinite takes you on a journey through a whole new ring with new enemies, new weapons, and new characters. The last 2 times 343 tried to give us something new and original, it fell short. But something about this game worked. Infinite covers every base that a Halo fan could ever ask for. And while their money-hungry multiplayer still needs some work, the campaign side of things was fantastic in my opinion. So if you're anything like me and just played this game once and then never touched it again, please give it another try. And if you do end up playing it, let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks for watching.